You ever see a car that makes you think, why don't they make stuff like this anymore? That's the Chevy Cobalt SS, a car that went from being an economy car's edgy sibling to a genuine performance underdog. It wasn't just another cheap compact, it was a proper performance machine, a car that enthusiasts still talk about today. The Cobalt SS is a unique vehicle in GM's history, one that has earned respect in the automotive world not only for its performance but also for its potential, and it's one of those rare gems that has flown under the radar for too long. In the early 2000s, the sport compact scene was exploding. Honda had the Civic Si, Dodge had the Neon SRT-4, Volkswagen had the GTI, and Subaru and Mitsubishi were dominating with the WRX and Evo. Each of these cars held a unique appeal. The Civic Si for its reliability and tuning potential, the Neon SRT-4 for its straight-line performance, and the GTI for its balanced approach to performance and refinement. Then, of course, there were the WRX and Evo, which offered all-wheel drive performance at a whole different level. With all these players, GM needed a solid answer to compete, something that could punch at the same level as these established names. The solution? The Chevrolet Cobalt SS. Built in Lordstown, Ohio on GM's Delta platform, the Cobalt SS wasn't just a regular Cobalt with a spoiler. The SS badge, standing for Super Sport, was GM's way of saying, we're serious about this one. And surprisingly, they were. The Cobalt SS was a car that was built to hold its own against the best, and it did so remarkably well. GM was attempting to create something special, and by the time the Cobalt SS made its debut, it wasn't just a fun little economy car anymore. It was a machine with real potential. The Cobalt SS went through several iterations during its short life, each more potent than the last. The Cobalt SS came in 3 different versions, each with a unique approach to performance. The first model, the Supercharged version produced from 2005 to 2007, featured a 2.0-liter LSJ engine producing 205 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque. Then came the naturally aspirated version made from 2006 to 2008 with a 2.4-liter LE5 engine, offering 171 horsepower and 163 foot-pounds of torque. Finally, the turbocharged variant made from 2008 to 2010 arrived with a 2.0-liter LNF engine, delivering a stunning 260 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque. While all 3 models had sporty intentions, only 2 can truly be considered worthy of the SS name. Let's break them down. Chevy began with a 2.0-liter supercharged inline-4 borrowed from GM's European lineup. The engine wasn't groundbreaking by any means, but it provided an ample amount of power, and its unique supercharged nature made the car's performance feel much more exciting than the numbers would suggest. What truly set it apart, however, was how it felt. It had lots of torque, was responsive, and accompanied by the unmistakable whine of an Eaton M62 Roots-type supercharger. Performance stats include a 0 to 60 mile/hour time of around 6.1 seconds, a quarter-mile time of about 14.3 seconds at 98 miles per hour, and a top speed of roughly 140 miles per hour. For comparison, the Civic Si of that era had 197 HP, but required higher revs to generate power. The Cobalt SS, with its supercharged torque, offered more usable power, making it feel quicker in real-world driving. Despite its impressive performance, the first-gen Cobalt SS wasn't without its flaws. One of the biggest complaints? Wheel hop. Lots of torque plus front-wheel drive equals some very unhappy front tires. This became an issue during hard acceleration, especially on launch, where the torque would send the front tires hopping, causing a loss of traction. Chevy attempted to solve this problem by offering an optional limited slip differential, or LSD, but it wasn't a perfect solution. Many owners turned to aftermarket fixes like better motor mounts and suspension upgrades to smooth out the driving experience. It wasn't ideal, but it was a good starting point. Then there was the interior. Let's be real, GM's mid-2000s interiors were not great. Hard plastics, basic design, and seats that were there. While the G85 Performance package added Recaro bucket seats to make things a little more comfortable and sporty, even those couldn't completely save the interior's uninspired design. It was functional, sure, but it wasn't the kind of place you'd want to spend long hours behind the wheel. Despite its flaws, it was a solid first attempt, but Chevy wasn't done yet. In 2006, Chevy did something weird. They introduced a 2.4-liter naturally aspirated version of the Cobalt SS, making 171 horsepower and 163 foot-pounds of torque. It still had the sporty looks of the SS, but performance-wise, it was a step backward. The 2.4-liter engine, while smooth, simply didn't have the grunt to compete with its turbocharged or supercharged siblings. It was slower than even the base model V6 Malibu, which says it all. The Cobalt SS's badge on this model was questionable at best and maybe didn't deserve it. But by 2008, GM realized their mistake and quietly renamed it the Cobalt Sport, dropping the SS badge entirely. If you're looking for a performance Cobalt SS, this is not the one you want. Thankfully, GM would redeem itself with the 2008 version of the car. In 2008, Chevy took the Cobalt SS to the next level by replacing the supercharger with a 2.0-liter turbocharged direct-injected engine, the LNF Ecotec. This engine was no joke, producing 260 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque. With performance stats that included a 0 to 60 mile-per-hour time of 5.5 seconds, a quarter-mile time of 13.9 seconds at 102 miles per hour, and a top speed of around 155 miles per hour, the new Cobalt SS was faster than cars like the Golf GTY, Civic SY, and even some Mustang GTs of that era. But the impressive numbers weren't just about power. Chevy engineered the car properly with features like no lift shift to maintain boost while shifting, launch control that held revs at 4,800 RPM for perfect launches, and improved brakes, suspension, and tires to fix the wheel hop issue. In 2009, Chevy even released a sedan version of the Cobalt SS, but fewer than 500 were built, making it a rare collector's item today. The sedan version was never as popular as the coupe, but it was still a fantastic car for those who appreciated the idea of a practical, yet incredibly fast, four-door compact sedan. The sedan was essentially the same performance-wise, so it was more of a curiosity in the car world than anything else. Still, it's a cool piece of Chevy history that not many people know about. Despite being one of the best performance cars GM ever made, the Cobalt SS was doomed. In 2010, GM killed the Cobalt and replaced it with the Cruze. And guess what? No SS version of the Cruze ever happened. The Cobalt SS faded into history, but enthusiasts never forgot. In fact, car journalists hailed the turbocharged Cobalt SS as the best compact car GM ever made. It was fast, fun, and surprisingly capable, especially considering the time period and competition. Despite its flaws, such as a cheap interior, front-wheel drive which is not ideal for high power, and a GM badge in a tuner-dominated world, it proved that American compacts could compete with the best of them. It was a car that wasn't afraid to take on the giants in the industry, and it did so with style. Today, the Cobalt SS remains a hidden gem and remains a symbol of what happens when an automaker dares to push boundaries within the constraints of a compact car. While the Cobalt SS didn't get the mainstream attention it deserved, it's clear that this little Chevy inspired a loyal following that continues to celebrate its performance. Enthusiasts often praise the car's tunability and its ability to outshine similarly priced rivals, with many owners investing in aftermarket modifications to take it even further. The Cobalt SS has cemented its place in automotive history, not just as a forgotten oddity, but as a beloved sleeper that proves great things can come from unexpected places, offering a driving experience that still holds up even against newer performance cars today. Prices are still reasonable, but clean turbocharged SS models are slowly increasing in value. These cars are starting to get the recognition they deserve, though they're still largely underappreciated by the broader public. If you can find one that hasn't been beaten to death, it's definitely worth picking up. The Cobalt SS is one of those cars that car enthusiasts dream about. A car that punches way above its weight class, delivers a fantastic driving experience, and represents a time when American automakers took risks and pushed the envelope. The Chevy Cobalt SS was GM's best-kept secret. It was an underdog that defied expectations, a true sleeper, and a car that deserves more respect than it gets. While the Cobalt SS may have been overshadowed by more popular performance cars of the time, it still holds a special place in the hearts of those who have had the pleasure of driving it. It proves that sometimes the most surprising and rewarding vehicles are the ones you least expect. So, what do you think? Have you ever driven a Cobalt SS? Would you buy one today if the opportunity arose? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Cobalt SS, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. We've got plenty more hidden performance gems to talk about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.